Good afternoon, everybody, and a very, very warm welcome indeed to this, the opening round of the 4th annual ADAC Professional Trophy here at a beautiful virtual circuit, Paul Ricard. My name is Paul Jeffrey. I'll be joining your friend of mine, the man next to me, the very own David Christie, tonight for this broadcast. David, welcome, and hello to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Paul. An absolute honour to be part of this here tonight, getting things underway. Round 1 of 4. An amazing season we've got ahead of us. Some big names that we know, some new names that we're, I'm sure, going to get accustomed to. And it all leads up to the Expo in just a little while.
Yep, it's going to be a great day of racing, so don't go anywhere, everybody on YouTube. We've got a 45-minute race in GT3 cars. There'll be no pit stops, there's no shenanigans. It's going to be a green flag, and then go as fast and as hard as you possibly can to the checkered flag. And David, with 6 different cars represented in this race, and as you say, a mix of very, very established names and some that are maybe new to our audience on a track that always produces great racing. This is a big night of racing ahead, this opening round of the season, isn't it?
Absolutely love this. Paul Ricard is one of those circuits that if you open a championship on this, it is nothing other than a giant question mark over the entire championship. Anything literally could happen tonight. Of course, we've got one drop round that the drivers are allowed to have over the season as well. So again, if they have a little bit of a rough one, then they can use that, but they're not going to have too many chances to do that. It's going to be a fantastic night, but momentum is going to be absolutely the name of the game tonight.
Yeah, that's a big thing that you mentioned there about the drop round. We don't see that very often in esports and real world competition. And we're also paying points for every single position, for every single driver that finishes this race. 40 for a race victory, 34, 29, 26, and so on. And then when we get to 20th position onwards, it's a singular point. So that's been developed and designed, David, in order to make it a really close competition all the way through the season up to, as you say, the Sim Expo in October 13th, 14th and 15th of this month, of October.
Yeah, next month is not very far away. And the thing is that myself and you are used to doing lots of different events, and usually they're a lot longer than this. Usually they're several hours. Usually they go over several months. This is a proper sprint championship in every single mention of the word. 45-minute races. We've got only 4 races in the championship. It's all or nothing. There is zero room for mistakes here, Paul.
And that is exactly why we love being involved. Qualification is kicking off. It's only a 10-minute qualifying session before the 14th 5-minute race. There's 6 minutes left on the clock, and there are 2 names, 3 names, 4 names, 5 names that will immediately recognise, David. Dennis Schoninger is the man currently quickest with a 1 minute 51.777. But look how close the entirety of the top 18 drivers are so far.
It's like a who's who of Assetto Corsa Competizione right now, and that's exactly what they wanted with this professional trophy. Some big names in there: Schoninger, Van der Velde, Statsenko, Jonkers, Malinowski. We've seen them week in, week out through various different championships, and here they are making their impression on this championship just now. Qualifying so important here just now, especially when, like we said, anything can and will likely happen at turn 1 here at Paul Ricard.
Yep, fantastic circuit for GT3 racing. Tinko van der Velde there for Williams Esports. They're just slowing down a little bit, conditioning the car for the run through the final corner, and van der Velde starts his lap as he looks to challenge Dennis Schoninger at the top of the field. Often, David, in qualifying, the track will ramp up in grip. It's 38 degrees C track temperature at this moment in time. The longer you stay on the track, the closer you can time your final lap to the checkered flag, the higher the percentage chance you've got of being able to set a good time.
100%. We see this all the time through qualifying, Paul. You get 5 minutes to go in the qualifying session and you're like, oh my goodness, this is very close, and I wonder what's going to happen here. And then it's always with 2 minutes to go, 3 minutes left to go, suddenly the absolute bangers of lap time start coming in. This is exactly what they planned for with this 10-minute session. The first 5 minutes is just getting a secure lap time, and one that's going to get them in a reasonably good competitive position. Then you can go all out for those final 5 minutes and absolutely send the car left, right and centre, taking chances, taking liberties that you maybe wouldn't want to do to get a decent position. But that's exactly what you have to do here. We see when you've got 5 cars separated by 0.2 of a second, you need to have something special in that locker to make you stand out, Paul.
Oh, you really do, and the level is so high throughout the field. If you're going to qualify in the middle of the pack, because the cars are so quick, the drivers are so quick, as you say, it becomes very difficult to work your way through the pack. And David, you and I have seen it so many times before as well. If you're in the middle of the pack, you're in the danger zone where you may get wrapped up in other people's mistakes. And even with the drop score, the short, compact, quick-fire championship like this, you really need to be on it every single race, every single round.
100%. And again, going back to that, if you're not in the top 10 in qualifying, you are adding massive amounts of risk to your championship at such an early stage. You can trust yourself. You could be the best driver in the world, but when you've got 24 other drivers around you that are absolutely willing to give anything to get this championship and, you know, push it to the absolute limit without any cliches whatsoever there, yeah, you are really, really going to be in for a difficult time. Now, granted, these drivers do seem to very quickly learn to drive around each other very, very well, because what we also see as well, Paul, is, you know, you think back 4 or 5 years ago when Assetto Corsa Competizione first came out, and it was usually 9 times out of 10 chaos and carnage at turn 1. There was always something going on, cars going upside down, sometimes we wouldn't even get off the line before cars were jumping in the air. But now, because I think the championships have got their act together with race control and penalties, and the drivers now fear those penalties, they destroy the races. Now they're a little bit more hesitant. Now they'll jump on the brakes a little bit earlier and just make sure they can preserve that car.
That smells to me like the commentator's curse, Mr. David Christie, but we'll find out in a few minutes' time. There's only 2 minutes left on the clock. There's a yellow flag somewhere out on the racetrack. That one is very, very quickly cleared. We're looking at Valentin Barrier now for Yas Heat Esports. Car number 296, the Ferrari 296. Valentin down in 18th position at this moment in time, 9/10 away of a second away from Dennis Schoninger at the front of the field. He'll be looking to improve on this and the subsequent laps as we come into the final few moments of qualification. Dennis Schoninger still is the man fastest. Can Valentin Barrier do anything now? Up into 9th place, halved that deficit, but still has nearly 5/10 of a second to find to get on the front row of the grid.
Yeah, you usually find this is make or break now. Once you get that momentum, once you get that time start to chip away and come down and go in your favour, that's when usually the next lap is going to be out of this world. So you need to just hope that you're going to be able to do it. This is going to be the final lap as well for a lot of these drivers, with just a minute left to go here in qualifying. Watching Benjamin Baumann here for Absolute Res Tech by Acelith in that 125 Lamborghini down that back stretch here. And again, Paul Ricard, a track that divides a lot of opinions here, and as much as it's not at all on my list of tracks that I like to drive on, to commentate on and to watch, it just really, really looks nice to see the cars going round, you know, with the paint and the lines and all that sort of stuff. And for some reason, you know, you just get the cars magnetised to each other. It just gives you amazing action here at Paul Ricard.
Yeah, it's a real race driver's circuit. It's a great circuit to drive, as you say, and it's a great circuit to produce good racing. Benjamin Baumann, though, in the 125. He's trying to improve, doesn't quite manage it on this occasion. Brabham Esports, Kieran Prendergast, car number 62 in the Ferrari. He crosses the line. Does he improve? No, he doesn't. Stays in 15th. There is Baumann, 20th position at this moment in time. Again, fails to improve over the line. As many drivers, as you say, completed their session. The checkered flag has been waved, so those on a lap can complete their lap, but there will be very few drivers with further opportunity to improve. Tommy Rizia is one of those drivers, the number 27 SDL Esports Logitech G McLaren 720S Evo, plenty of McLaren 720S Evos. Rizia 8th position at this moment in time, David, but only a few fractions of a second away from quite a big uplift if he can improve on this lap.
Yeah, fingers crossed he might be able to get a couple of positions. Just 1/10 of a second would uplift him, as you say, 2-3 positions. That was quite wide out of that corner there, though. I also noticed Marco Jonkers getting up to P3 there in the BMW, in that number 1 BMW just now. So great effort there. The two BMWs actually having a reasonably excellent showing today. Sit 3rd position and 7th position as well, as Rozier coming through at the final couple of corners just now. Also, who have we got then? I think actually Tommy is going to be one of the last drivers going to be coming across the line here.
Yeah, so let's see how he goes. A little bit squirrely on corner exit for the final turn. Runs to the line. Will he improve on his 8th position starting spot at this moment in time? Breaks the time in being, fails to improve. This is Leon Seeley for SOP Esports Racing in the Lamborghini. He's 23rd. He'll be hoping for a much better qualifying than that. He does improve, but only to 20th position. And there is Kieran Pendergrass, currently in 16th position, 8/10 just over away from the overall pace. Can the Brabham Esports driver do anything about it though? As he comes to the line, 16th position, breaks the timing screen, moves up one David to 15th place.
Yeah, that was a good final lap there from Prendergast, getting that 15th position there. A brilliant qualifying session, and it all leaves everything onto the race as well. Yeah, that is going to be a fantastic race for sure coming up. I don't think anybody's going to be too disappointed, given that it's the first qualifying session of the season here, a relatively short season. But Dennis Schoeninger, I think, will be very happy to be just ahead of Tinko van der Velde there.
Absolutely, and more to the point, I'm very happy that the top 20 cars are covered by a smidgen over 1 second. 20 cars in 1 second. I can't even say 20 cars in 1 second within a second, and they qualified that close together. That just goes to show that this, we call it the ADAC Professional Trophy, but these really are elite level professional drivers taking part in this.
And they absolutely are, and that's why we get to see them day in, day out with all the different championships. But let's take you through the grid then as we get ready with 2 minutes left to go. It's Dennis Schoeninger on pole position alongside Tinko van der Velde on row 1. Row 2 is going to be Marco Jonkers in the BMW alongside the Lamborghini of Mikhail Statsenko. Row 3 is going to be Maciek Malinowski in the 992 McLaren alongside the fellow McLaren 157 of Leonard Makavin.
Gert Fischer, car number 2 in the BMW, is 7th on the grid. Alongside him, Tommy Razia in the McLaren, the number 27 machine, will start in 8th place. Valentin Barrier makes a Ferrari double-header in 9th and 10th position, Oster Trengel. In 11th place is Simone Liese, and in 12th position for Lamborghini, Felix Arndt.
Continuing the 2x2 fashion, it's the 44 McLaren leading off of Oscar Hull alongside the 812 McLaren of Leon Hopp. 15th position, and on row 8 is Kieran Prendergast, as we saw in qualifying there, in the 62 Lamborghini alongside the 16th position, Tim Peachman in the number 72 Ferrari. 17th place is Joris Apel in the 71 Ferrari, and then in the 121 McLaren is Matthias Ladke.
Another McLaren is 19th on the grid. That's the 111 machine of Chris Warner. Just behind him, is Leon Seeley in the Lamborghini, with Benjamin Baumann in 21st position. Car number 137 lines up in 22nd. That is Thomas Moriant. In 23rd is Oli Pitchik. In 24th is Milos Stanikalkovic. And in 25th and last, Ivan Gerasimov. 25 cars. Very little gap between them. A track that only has 15 turns, 3.6 miles in length, and 45 minutes to get the job done, David Christie. That sounds like, if that was ingredients, if you were baking, I reckon that's going to make a very exciting cake indeed when it cooks and finishes in 45 minutes' time.
Well, let's hope we don't burn it, for that's for sure. You're absolutely spot on. It's a perfect canvas. Think about it, right? It's the season opener. We've only got 4 races in this. We don't have to worry about ballast on this one, where we're going to have to worry about that in the future rounds. Top 3 drivers will get ballast in future rounds. We don't have to worry about previous results or points or anything like that. Everybody, and I mean literally everybody, is on equal square pegging right now.
Yep, and that's why season openers are such an intriguing thing for us here in the world of virtual motorsport. There are many drivers, I dare say all 25 drivers, came into this one with aspirations of a big season, big results, and a good finishing position at the end of the year. We're only just starting to see the form book develop, but as you say, David, with success ballast for our top 3 drivers, 15, 10 and 5 kilograms respectively, that balance is going to change as the season progresses. Drivers will become more or less confident, rivalries start to develop. So this is the opening chapter of what should be a very, very exciting year ahead.
It certainly will. And that's the great thing about this, is that we get an entire season's worth of excitement in just 4 weeks, Paul, condensed down into this amazing experience. And then, of course, next month we're off to the SimRacing Expo.
Yes, indeed. It's a double header on the 14th of October. So it's 1 driver per car per team, although those drivers can swap out in different rounds. But when we come to round 4, on the 14th of October at the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit, live at the SimRacing Expo, there'll be 2 races and 2 drivers per team. 1 driver does one race, 1 driver does the other. So that adds another dimension of variability into this championship. These 3 online events are all about building yourself up to put yourself in that strongest position. But when you get onto the live show, on site at the Expo, that's when the pressure really ramps up.
There's absolutely no comparison to what it's like in a LAN environment, and with the crowds around you, with the noise, with the excitement, seeing the other drivers as well. For me, I think that is the absolute perfect pinnacle to this season, because it's just such a wonderful, wonderful event. Having been able to experience my first sim racing LAN event last year at a completely different championship, it's such a different vibe, Paul. I mean, being able to hang out with people that you race in, day in, day out, it's just such a wonderful, wonderful experience. And then you're essentially at what you can consider the mecca of sim racing, the spiritual home of sim racing. It's going to be amazing.
Yep, it really is, but there is a lot of racing before that point to get through, starting with this 45-minute opening counter of the ADAC Professional Trophy here at the circuit. Paul Ricard, Dennis Schoninger and Tinko van der Velde already playing mind games, you will notice, on the formation lap, running very closely together indeed. Schoninger in the 55 machine, Tinko van der Velde in one of the very few, in fact maybe even the sole Audi in this field in the number 5 car. It's going to be a drag race down at T1. Everybody needs to stay out of the way with just 45 minutes of racing in front of us. You cannot afford to be sleeping in these opening few laps as Schoninger rounds now the back end of the circuit, David. This is where the pressure massively ramps up.
It really does, and this is coming through Virage de la Tour, coming through to the final corner, Virage de la Pont. Paul, we are about to get going, and Dennis Schoninger about to pull the pin here.
Yep, here we go then. So Williams Esports, Dennis Schoninger, pole position here in this opening race of the season. Tinko van der Velde, Marco Jonkers, Mikkel Stetsenko and Maciej Malinowski, all very interested in seeing what they can do through this opening lap to improve their lot in the race. Green flags are waving, revs have rise, and the cars 2 by 2 charge down into the opening corner for the first time this season. Schoninger and van der Velde side by side. Van der Velde around the outside, doesn't have enough room, slots back in to second position. Further back, Stetsenko trying to make his way past. Schoninger over the curves, gets the car unsettled. That opens the door for Tinko van der Velde. He's on the inside, is the green and blue Audi. Can van der Velde get the job done on the brakes? All the way around the outside does Dennis Schoninger go. Stays brave, uses the elbows, holds on to that early race lead.
Yeah, that was really, really intelligent play there from Dennis Schoninger in that Williams Esports machine right up at the front. Did everything he needed to do with that McLaren, just got it parked exactly right. So we've got chaos and a little bit of tantrums just behind. I think that was just 2 cars that were involved there, maybe a little bit more. But the thing is that Schoninger put that car, Paul, exactly where it needed to be. You saw him try to drive around the outside of the corner and then just parked it right on the apex to make sure that Tinko van der Velde couldn't get through. Meanwhile, look at this, Gert Fischer, Marco Jonkers and Mikhail Stetsenko, 3 abreast, almost coming down that back stretch here. This is wild, wild stuff.
Yeah, some intense racing further down the lower reaches are the top 6. Stetsenko, the driver, at the back of that little gaggle, trying to use the slippery nature of the ITB Esports Lamborghini. Not enough overlap to find a way past. Tommy Razia looking to buy into this one as well. Razia, 7th position in that beautifully liveried SDL Esports Logitech G McLaren. He's holding on to 7th place. Valentin Barrier behind, having a sniff around as well in the plain white machine. But while they're becoming a little bit detached, it's Gert Fischer still holding on to 5th place. Marco Jonkers in the number 1, the lead of the BMWs in 4th position. But there is a move. Is that a move? Yes, it is. That is Stetsenko trying to find a way past Fischer. It's a drag race now. Lamborghini versus BMW Power for the run down into T1. Fischer has the inside line. Stetsenko will be forced to go the long way around the corner, but can he get the overlap before the braking zone? Yes, he can. That's a nice pass. Very nice pass from Mikhail Stetsenko.
So that's going to be very, very telling then. The Lamborghini obviously has the upper hand in straight line speed over the BMW at this circuit here. Chris Warner just getting past the 812 there of Leon Hopp, and you can see a Lamborghini just making its way up the inside as well. In fact, no, that was Hull, sorry, in the number 44 McLaren as well. Chris Warner, though, for the Jardier community team there in the 111. You can see him in his webcam there in the bottom right, looking very, very cool, calm, collected. effect as he is making his way around as well. You'll also see, it's one of the bits that I like, the very different setups that you see from all the drivers as well. Putting that thing that we've always waxed lyrical on about is that, you know, gear for the most part doesn't matter all that much here, because it's all about the talent, it's all about the driver.
It absolutely is. You could see how hard that Chris Warner was working behind the wheel to try and navigate the car through. It's tight, it's quite... At this stage of the race, the car's heavy, the car's cold. We see a little bit of drama there further back as well. There's that Leon Hopper trying to find a way past. He runs a little bit deep through Senior, then he's under pressure again from one of the Lamborghinis. That's Baumann trying to find a way past. But going back to Chris Warner for a moment, the car is at its least stable in this stage of the race, and you just saw how hard he was working, David, behind the wheel just to stay on the tarmac, never mind to charge his way forward. And each and every one of these drivers has that same level of unsettled behaviour in the car that they've got to overcome, whilst trying to pass a driver that at the most is a quarter of a tenth of a second faster than they are per lap. This is really impressive driving.
Yeah, with regards to the cars being twitchy and really, really aggressive, one of my favourite lines from one of my favourite movies of all time, Days of Thunder, fast as loose and on the edge of out of control. That's exactly what you see here with these cars. They're twitchy because the cars are very, very aggressive. You want them to be able to turn in on an absolute dime. They really need to be responsive. But on that has the added effect of being oversteery as well. They can snap at a moment's notice. God knows we are so used to seeing that in the old days of the Audi here on ACC, but this new Evo version, so much more planted, so much more able to really keep in for the remainder of the race, whereas you were barely able to see about 15 laps from the original Audi before it end up in a wall. And Tinko van der Velde, you said he was the only Audi in this field right now. What a job he's doing right now, holding on to Dennis Schoeninger. The two of them clearing off from Maciej Malinowski in that 992 McLaren, and already we're starting to get the race control messages coming in thick and fast.
Yeah, that's Marius Ladke getting a 15-second time penalty for contact between cars 77, 72 and 121 on the opening lap. So Ladke's the man that will have 15 seconds applied to his time at the end of the race. Simone Leslie we're looking at now. He's trying to find a way past as well in the absolute res tech by Ace Lead Machine. He's in 11th position. Arndt is the driver ahead. Lamborghini, another popular choice in the field, doing good work so far in 5th, 10th and 11th positions respectively, but Yeze has got a lot of work to do if he wants to find a way past a car that is exactly the same as the one in which he's driving. The good news, David, though, for the 858 machine is Arndt looks like he's got quite a few cars in front of him that maybe is compromising the overall pace that car's capable of achieving in this early stages of the race.
We spoke briefly about it before the qualifying actually got going here, and during qualifying as well, is the importance of being up in that top 10 to be able to make your moves. You've got not a lot of time to make this happen here, so really it's all against you with 40 minutes left to go in this race, because you know being in that top 10 means that you can hang with that front pack. But if you're outside the top 10, you're in no man's land. You're fighting all these other cars, dropping back so much time. Granted, within the first 5-10 minutes you can still undo a lot of that damage, but anything after that, after the first 15 minutes, you are really, really playing with fire if you're still outside the top 10 and expecting to get yourself up into a really, really high point paying position. But again, it's all about the championship. It's all about doing the best that you can do with this race, and there's still, as we said, 40 minutes left to go here.
And there's still a train of cars that come running down into Bousset and Senior. This is Marco Jonker's West Competition Racing, 4th position, the lead of the BMW cars in this field. What's interesting to me, David, is Dennis Schoeninger is absolutely not at all pulling away from this pack. Slipstream is a reasonably big thing here at Paul Ricard, courtesy of the incredibly long Mistral Straight. Felix Arndt doing a bit of drifting as well, but gets the Get Closer Racing Lamborghini back on the straight and narrow. The slipstream effect in a GT3 car is not a huge effect in ACC, but it is going to play a part in this race, and that's making it incredibly difficult for Dennis Schoeninger to break away. And while himself and Tinko van der Velde are running nose to tail at the front, Maciej Malinowski, Marco Jonkers, Mikhail Stasenko are all very much within striking distance.
They absolutely are, and the thing is that as that develops, Dennis Schoeninger and Tenko van der Velde seem quite content to just rattle the laps off and maybe fight towards the end here. Obviously, we don't know what their game plan is, but you can't say the same about Maciej Malinowski and Marco Jonkers. And then, as they fight, they'll start bringing in Statsenko and Fischer as well. Another race control message there, incident between cars 858, 41 and 100. That is being decided as a racing incident. So the 100 is Seeley, and obviously a little bit of a coming together on that lap one. The thing is that it's great to see race control being able to just let things go to a certain extent where possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And these are high-level drivers, so they know how to behave. Obviously, we occasionally get a bit of drama when many cars into a short space often don't go. But so far, so good from the drivers in this field in the ADAC Professional Trophy opening round of the season. Maciej Malinowski, third position in the Veloci Esports number 992 car. Not quite close enough to launch an attack on our two race leaders, but Tinko van der Velde, he's on his tippy toes. This one's going to turn into a very keen four-way fight as Thomas Morant now. We're trying to find a way around the outside or defend the outside line. He loses out to the Mercedes, so Pitchick gets his way past, and then for good measure, that is the penalised Leon Seeley all the way around the outside. He'll try and cut back to the inside for the short run to the next left-hander, but the Lamborghini not quite having the legs over the McLaren at this stage.
It's almost a bit of a meme, that phrase that I rattle out every single race here. But if you're going to make a move, you better be damn sure you pull it off. And this is exactly why Morant tried to make the move on Ole Pitchick there, didn't work, and then cost himself so much time. Threw him back into the arms of Seeley, Stamenkovic and Peachman, who are very, very eager, let's put it that way, to try and get past. But what a choo-choo train we've got going on right now, from 10th all the way down. Well, that could actually even be at 9th place all the way down to about 17th right now. And this is exactly the point I was making. If you're outside that top 10, you're in a war zone here, Paul. You're having to fight doggedly for any position that you can get, whereas if you're inside that top 10, it's a little bit calmer here. I certainly would not be resting easy being anywhere in this group right now.
Yeah, it becomes very easy when you're in a battle pack of cars to fall into the pace of the cars that are around you and not maximise the performance of your own machine. Oscar Tringle, 15th position at this moment in time, has got a quadruple slipstream from the pack ahead. This is a good opportunity now to find a way past the 71 Ferrari. Looks to the inside, that's blocked off. Goes to the outside. You do not want to be on the outside through Busay, but he's going to try it anyway. Two Ferraris side by side. Now, who is the bravest? Will they give each other racing room? Tringle stays very cautious to the outside line. It's still on the outside for Senior. Can't find a way past. Tries to cut on tight through the second portion of the corner. Not quite enough room for the Ferrari to get past. But that, David, just exemplifies what we're saying about the level of these drivers. Hard, but fair racing.
Yeah, that double apex of Busay really catching out Oscar Tringali there. The thing is Apel, it looked like there was a little bit of a gap through on that inside line there, but because it's a double apex corner, that Ferrari was always going to be able to just cut back in and get the run out here. And this is just amazing. For me, this is what sim racing is all about. We're watching a fight for 14th and 15th position, but the way these two are fighting for it, this might as well be the championship win right now. This is what I love about sim racing, is the fact that you get these blinkers on, Paul, and this is all that matters. This is your entire universe right now. The car in front of you and the car behind you. On this opening round, you're thinking of nothing else.
Absolutely. This is an interesting warning that's come up on screen, David. Final warning to Tinko van der Velde for blocking. So Maciej Malinowski making a nuisance of himself at the front of the field, and Tinko van der Velde has the watchful eye of the stewards upon him. So Tinko needs to be a little bit careful in that Williams Esports racing car, the number 5 machine, although he's not too concerned about blocking at this moment in time. If anything, he's looking to launch an attack on the 55 ahead. He's going to follow him all the way down this back straight. So difficult to follow through. This incredibly quick right-hander. You've got to keep the car very firmly within the racing limits, otherwise you'll start attracting cut track penalties. And look here, David, we predicted a two-way fight was going to turn into a four-way fight, and we're immediately in that zone. Marco Yonkers in the purple machine, keeping a watching brief as well. This one's got the signs of something. It's probably going to continue for the next 32 minutes and 10 seconds, methinks.
Oh, this one is simmering away very, very nicely indeed. I'm just waiting for Mikhail Statsenko to join the party, and then it's going to absolutely kick off. You saw on screen there confirmation of a racing incident between Simone Lietza and Felix Arndt there, the 858 Lamborghini and the 77 Lamborghini. That was declared by race control as a racing incident, as I suspect you will see quite a few more through those opening stages of the race. But now we switch to a different gear here, Paul, pun intended in every sense of the word. 15 minutes into the race, we're into the final half hour of the race now. You've calmed yourself down, now you can start applying the pressure, now you can start pushing. But again, that warning is a shot across the bow to Tinko van der Velde, and it shows what a difficult position he's in. He wants to go for the race lead, but he's got Maciej Malinowski. He knows that if he makes a move on Schoeninger and something goes wrong, then he is going to have like 4 or 5 cars chomping at the bit to get past him here. Definitely high pressure and high stakes right now.
Absolutely, but the likes of Tinko van der Velde, unlike the community trophy race that we ran yesterday, the point spread is significant at the front of the field. 40 for a win, 34 for second position. It's a 6-point gain if you can make that move if you're Tinko van der Velde, so it's worth the risk. And now he is closer than he's ever been before, getting off the racing surface in fact, to try and force his way down the inside of Dennis Schoeninger. It's not enough to get alongside into the corner. Schoeninger holds on to that position. Malinowski decides to lift and breathe off the throttle a little bit to avoid getting too heavily wrapped up in that one, but it really is switching up at the front of the field. Felix Arndt, that we're looking at in the Get Closer Racing Lamborghini, having a mirror image manoeuvre as well. He loses the position to the McLaren, leaves the door open in the second part of the corner. The Lamborghini has the run off the turn though, but Dennis Schoeninger at the front of the field survived that one very nicely indeed. But that is a message from Tinko van der Velde, methinks. He's not going to be content to hold on to this second position. He's very firmly laying his cards on the table. This is a race for the victory, as it is for Maciej Malinowski, as it is for Marco Yonkers, and very soon Mikhail Statsenko as well.
I tell you what, Paul, I don't know what I'd like to do less tonight is be a driver in that top 10 with all that pressure, or be our broadcast director tonight, because my god, the amount of action we've got going on through this track right now at like 15 different places. We need a split screen of about 8 different cameras right now. Honestly, it is just all kicking off here. This is this is the start to a championship that you could only dream of, having this much intensity, this much drama. It's a little bit of a contact there from Simone Lietza. That's Hull on the back there, getting caught up the 44 there of Hull. That was I think going to be a slam dunk penalty for that one, because it did look like it was caught off on braking. And the thing is, this is obvious now. You can see the 858 absolutely raging right now. Furious. You can see that they're not wanting to give up any position. You're going to see further drama and contact here, and you can understand why, Paul. Simone is going to feel very, very hard done by here, and losing a lot of positions.
Yeah, 3 wide. Lietza on the outside line. Double contact with a fellow Lamborghini in a straight line as well. Lietza needs to calm his head a little bit. Tries to turn in the Lamborghini. That is absolutely ridiculous. The gold car cannot vanish off of the racing line. Simone Lietza is starting to feel the frustration of that earlier contact. Can he find a way in the second portion of the corner to throw the car up the inside? No, he cannot. And Tringali behind wants to buy into this one as well. So the 858 does another stupid manoeuvre and makes contact with Felix Arndt. And I dare say, I don't like saying these kind of things, but Simone Lietza should and probably will receive a penalty for what was a temporary loss of sanity, I think it's fair to say, David.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's episode of Play Stupid Games, Win Stupid Prizes, featuring Simone Lietza. That is absolutely predictable. You saw that was going to happen about eight turns away there. We've all been through it ourselves. Every single one of us has been behind the wheel of a sim racing car in an online competitive race, even against AI. We've all been in that position where you just get that red mist come over, you get the rage, and probably, in my case, even swear words quite rapidly come out as well. And you are so annoyed. All you can focus on is what's gone wrong, trying to undo that. You overdrive the car, you cause more accidents. It's a downward spiral. And make no mistake, like I said, it was horrible to see, predictable to see. But again, I have to hold my hands up and say I'm no better. I've been in that position myself.
Yeah, it's a real shame to see that kind of behaviour. Hopefully Simone Etze will review this one after the race and learn from it. But look at that, Mikhail Stetsenko in the background going on Marco Yonkers. The Lamborghini has the inside line. Yonkers can do absolutely nothing in response. So Mikhail Stetsenko up into fourth position. The BMW down one place, although Marco Yonkers doesn't look particularly keen on giving up the chase at this moment in time. And again, just like we saw with that very same driver in that very same car, the BMW slowly but surely starts to hemorrhage pace as the race progresses. And maybe, just maybe, we've reached that time now where Marco Yonkers doesn't quite have the car underneath him that he had in the opening stint, and that allows Mikhail Stetsenko an opportunity to close upon our leading trio and place his name very firmly on the table as a contender for this podium at the very least.
Riddle me this, Paul. We've got 5 drivers there who have all been harassing each other, like to the point of getting a restraining order on each other here, such as the level of intensity right now. And yet Gerrit Fischer is 2.5 seconds behind the 5 of them, so they're all like going really, really intense with each other, but yet still all going very, very fast at the same time. That just melts my little brain.
Yeah, it's incredible to see the amount of pace that these drivers, and again, the reason for that, David, and for everybody at home, because these are experienced, quality, elite level drivers. They're not diving up the inside in half overtakes. They're not wasting their time defending fresh air. They're staying nose to tail until a genuine opportunity presents itself. And when you drive like that, you're losing much less time than if you're all ducking and diving all over the racetrack. And that's what allows this little trio, these 5 even cars, to maintain their gap to Fischer, Razia and everybody else behind. So really clever driving from everybody. Maybe though, David, in the next 10 minutes or so, that kind of tactic can be thrown out of the window, because then you're into the dying part of the race. That's when you really need to leverage your speed into an overtake, if at all possible.
Possibly, and that's the great thing about these races, is that a lot of it is conjecture. We're basically trying to put 2 and 2 together and try and figure out what the answer is, when most people will say it's 4, and yet sometimes it does throw up a little bit of a curveball every now and again. Who my eye on is on at the moment, and is really, really kind of flying under the radar ever so slightly, Mikhail Stetsenko. Since they dropped Marco Yonkers onto the back of Maciej Malinowski, I think it's going to make short work of this very, very soon. I think that Lambo is going to have real contention for catching up with that McLaren up in front, because if you look at the pace difference right now, it seems to be absolutely on rails, Paul. Really planted, really, really fast right now. And lap time wise, 1:53.2 was the fastest car out of the 5 cars out there just now.
Yeah, we know that Mikhail Stetsenko is an incredibly quick driver. We don't have favourites as commentators, of course, but I must say I do like Mikhail Stetsenko. I like his speed, I like his racecraft, and I like the fact that drama, in a good way, often follows him in his racing. And at this moment in time, as you say, David, cleared Marco Yonkers and just swallowed up the gap between himself, Malinowski, Van der Velde and Schoninger in front. So do keep an eye on the 696 over the next 10 minutes or so to see if he can convert that pace into a genuine overtaking manoeuvre. Maciej Malinowski, though, has the slipstream of his dreams for the run down now into Bousset. Not enough of an opportunity in the first part of the corner, but through Bousset, can he find a way past? No. The McLaren gives away grip, gives away downforce in the wake of the 2 cars ahead, and Maciej Malinowski has to have another little think about how far outside of the box he's willing to go to try and find a way past that Audi ahead, while having the Italian Audi behind him trying very hard indeed to find a way past in the hands of Mikhail Stetsenko.
You know, I'm watching this, Paul, and I'm seeing 22 minutes left to go on the clock, and I'm like, let alone 22 minutes, there's no way this can survive another 10 minutes. There's no way this level of pace and intensity and real aggression from these drivers here. And we've got to say, when I say aggression, you've got to say the utmost respect from those top 5 drivers right now. They are really fully understanding where their personal limit is and where the limit of the drivers around them is, as well as we're on board the rear ends of Tim Peachman here for Renfelt and Esports. You can see Moran and Felix Arndt in the background. You've got Staminkovic. I was expecting to see Staminkovic maybe a little bit higher up in that top 15 at the very least, but obviously been caught up in some drama and some issues earlier on. You've also got Ole Pitchik down there in 22nd place after the chaos and carnage that we saw just a couple of minutes ago.
And Pitchik is a driver that I would have highlighted at the start of this race in the AMG Mercedes to be a little bit further up the running order than where he currently sits in 22nd position. So, as we mentioned right at the top of the show and during the course of this race, David, when you're mired in the middle of the pack, it's very easy to get bogged down in some dramas. But Maciej Malinowski now, this is the attempt to go for not just second position, but the race lead as well. Malinowski has the outside line. Dennis Schoninger has the inside line. Tinko van der Velde is the one that's been mugged in the Audi, but Van der Velde through to the inside at Boussaint. Malinowski tries to get the cutback and almost collected by Mikhail Statsenko. Great driving from Statsenko to get out of the throttle and avoid contact with the McLaren, but we have not finished this one yet. Van der Velde under attack once again. There we go, side by side, Van der Velde and Malinowski in the McLaren, Tinko van der Velde in the Audi. Side by side they remain for the run through the final few corners. Malinowski has the inside line at the moment, but that will become the outside line. Mikhail Statsenko with the ITB machine decides, I'll have a piece of this one, uses elbows and more. I think David Christie, he's just about made it through.
Dear Lord, you know, the only thing that would make that even better is somebody in YouTube chat typing sim racing isn't real racing. I'm sorry, that is the most, if that isn't excitement, if that isn't raw adrenaline and skill right on display there, I don't know what is. This is just awesome stuff. All of these drivers on an absolute knife edge right now. Maciej Malinowski, he's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't, because he's got Statsenko ahead of him. Yonkers chomping at the bit to get ahead there, but Statsenko, this is what I was saying, he's released now. He's got Van der Velde up in front of him. That's who he's going to be eyeing up next here. Oh, this is going to be a scary finish here. I'm really wondering if Statsenko is going to be able to take this race win. That's what I'm thinking now.
Yeah, that's a brilliant bit of driving for more concern. Malinowski got a little bit peckish and had a nibble at the rear of the 696 car, but no harm, no foul for the two of them. Marco Jonkers was becoming detached from this fight, but courtesy of the side-by-side action, the BMW is back in the throes of it again. There we see Marco Jonkers looking back from Maciej Malinowski's McLaren. Does the BMW, though, have the ultimate pace to stay with and challenge the cars ahead? Answering my question almost immediately is Jonkers looking to the inside. The car can't quite rotate as well as the McLaren. He washes wide. That's an opportunity that he has to pass up on. But Marco Jonkers, bit between the teeth, desperately trying to cling on to this fight. Maciej Malinowski desperately trying to buy himself a couple of moments respite so he can reset and charge after Mikhail Statsenko ahead. And Statsenko can't wait for the next straight so he can laugh and clap and dance, because he's now in third position and, as you say, David, arguably the strongest of our trio of drivers at the front of the field.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a little bit of overheating on the tyres for that 992 McLaren just now, very temporarily, because it did look like he was losing an awful lot of time there, and the BMW was eager to try and make way as another cone is mercilessly murdered here at Paul Ricard there from Mikhail Statsenko there ahead. But yeah, Malinowski, he does seem to have settled down now. If he can cool those tyres down again, he will be able to get back onto the rear end of that group. But for just now, he just needs to calm it down a little bit. We saw there was a warning there, I believe it was for the number 71 of April there, for aggressive driving there. That will be a final warning. So again, it's basically a shot across the bow from race control to say, look, don't do that again. If you do, you're going to get a penalty for it.
Yeah, and a 15-second time penalty has been awarded to Simone Iezzi as well for the contact that we saw a little bit earlier on 15 seconds is generous if you ask me, and I'm sure he'll be hanging his head in shame when this race is over, wondering what he's done wrong, making a drop score though, and he's still got a good opportunity in this championship as we move forward. Here's an interesting one, David, that I wasn't expecting to say. Dennis Schoninger now has that Audi painted to the rear of him. Tinko van der Velde all of a sudden has dug deep and found incredible lap time in that number 5 machine. Van der Velde became massively detached from the 55, courtesy of his fight with Malinowski, Statsenko et al. A couple of laps ago, and almost instantaneously he's back in that fight, dragging along Statsenko. Dennis Schoninger, out of all these cars at the front of the field, seems like the one that's struggling to find the lap time the most, which as broadcasters is exactly how you want it to be, because that will bring everyone together for a rather exciting battle.
Squeezing the top 5 together for the final 15 minutes of the race. Yes, please, thank you very much. I'll have some of that. But look at that. That's Schoninger and the McLaren facing the same fate that Malinowski is facing as well. He's dropping off the pace as well. So I wonder if that little 5-car fight that they had has maybe just pushed those tyres a little bit far just now, as we're seeing Pitchick into pit lane there. So I wonder if he's retired from the race. It's certainly there's no pit stop scheduled for this race here, and he's already in, so it looks like that Pit Bull racing machine has said goodbye for the day. But yeah, that pace of the McLaren really starting to come under pressure now from not just the Audi, but look at Statsenko hanging about in the background as well, because Malinowski he's not catching up to that group now. He's dropping back significantly.
Yeah, last time around Statsenko was a couple of tenths quicker than Tinko van der Velde. Marco Jonkers, I predicted the BMW would start to drop away as the race progressed, but Marco Jonkers making a liar of me in 5th position, is now charging against match 8. Malinowski has the outside line. We've seen this manoeuvre successfully completed before. Can Marco Jonkers deliver the overtake as we run now into Senior, the fastest corner here at the circuit? Paul Ricard, he drops back behind the McLaren driver, tries to find a way through on Bousset, following nose to tail is the BMW. It's not quite got the rotation at this stage of the race, and let's have a look exactly what happened to Pitchick a few moments ago. That's the silver Mercedes car, number 15, goes to the inside to defend, and then the Lamborghini, heavy contact to the rear of him, pitches Pitchick into the barriers, and that sadly is the end to what has been a relatively low-key day for the AMG driver.
Yeah, me assigning blame? No, that's never.
Christine,
yeah, that was all Pitchick. Sorry, it was a straight, and somehow they managed to find each other. It did look like, and I'm going to say did look like as a get out of jail free card here, but it did look like Pitchick moved one way, moved the other to defend. As up the inside goes Tinko van der Velde to try and take the position back from Statsenko. We didn't see that during the replay there. Statsenko though lost that position, took the position out from Van der Velde. Van der Velde's got it back here. It looked a little bit like Statsenko just gave him the position back, so maybe there was a little bit of contact there, but certainly, wow, that's a turn up for the books that Statsenko already on the ball. And again, here comes Malinowski, just very slowly catching up, 1.6 seconds, so I think there were 1.5 there, but certainly looks like that car's a little bit closer here. And well, I mean, you said it a couple of minutes ago, as broadcasters, we couldn't have asked for a better finish on this opening round, but this, I get the gut feeling this is going to be something very, very special indeed.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more, if you're. This is a look now. This is match 8, Malinowski coming down into the final corner. The Lamborghini car dives to the inside. Do they avoid contact with each other? Yes, I think so. I think that was potentially the Audi just getting out of the way. The flash of the lights from Tinko van der Velde manages to keep the car alongside, very even in straight line speed between these two marks. Then van der Velde has the inside line. Malinowski can't close the door because there's not Malinowski, sorry, can't close the door, can Statsenko. And that's very nice driving from Tinko van der Velde. And that, David, just goes to show a beautiful lesson to anybody watching at home. Never, ever, ever, ever give up. And that's a great retake by the Audi driver.
Yeah, that was fantastic stuff there. I wasn't sure because it did look like there was a little shoulder check to Van der Velde. But either way, I mean, it just goes to compound what I was saying earlier on about the respect between these drivers at this level here. They know how to race hard but race fair with, well, for most of the time anyway, and it just makes it so much more enjoyable to watch. And I would imagine, Paul, not being a driver at that level myself, but I would imagine it makes it much more rewarding for these drivers when they take part and they get somebody else's number clean, fair and square on the track. It must be so much more satisfying.
Oh, absolutely. These guys will be thoroughly enjoying. In fact, they won't be enjoying themselves at this moment in time. They'll be focused on the task in hand. When it's over and done with, they will reflect with very fond memories on what has been a great race. But we've still got 12 minutes left to go, so let's not jinx it at this moment in time. And Tinko van der Velde, from fighting to hold on to second position at the start of the lap, is now trying to find a way past Dennis Schoninger. But look at the speed of that Lamborghini. What a drive from Mikhail Statsenko. He has second position signed, sealed and delivered, and greedily enough is trying to find a way past Dennis Schoninger. That opens the door again for Tinko van der Velde to throw the Audi up the inside. Can we get the car turned enough for Mikhail Statsenko to have another challenge on the Audi? Not quite on this occasion, so as they were on the exit of that sequence. But that is very, very interesting, David, because that Lamborghini concentrates on corner exit for Statsenko, and all of a sudden you can get a very nice run indeed down the Mistral Straight and put yourself in a very nice position to find a way past.
He really does have a certain strategy that he is trying to apply here. But Paul, I'll be damned if this isn't some of the finest sim racing that I have seen this year. This is awesome stuff, because have a look at that. Van der Velde was trying to defend from Statsenko, who seems to get a poor exit out that final corner every single time. But Schoninger has to go defensive, goes to the inside. Van der Velde trying to go round the outside, can't make it work here through turns 1 and 2. That's going to leave him vulnerable. Here comes Statsenko up the inside, trying to put his nose in, but that means that Van der Velde is going to have the inside line. He's then going to be on the outside. Is it going to be Statsenko? No, because Van der Velde is going to have the inside line again. This is just absolutely bonkers right now. And hello to our old friends Maciej Malinowski and Marco Jonkers. They've come to join the party as well. 10 minutes left to go. Absolutely not a clue what is going to happen here.
Yep, sensational scenes. Maciej Malinowski back in the fight again. Mikhail Statsenko, though, up into second position. Can he repeat that straight line advantage in the Lamborghini to not only bridge the gap of the Audi behind, but get him in contention with our race winner, Dennis Schoninger? This is Marco Jonkers now. We can see Tinko van der Velde defending hard to the inside. Malinowski forcing his way through. Jonkers not quite sure which way to go. Elects wisely to stay at the back of this pack for now and just observe the drama that's happening in front. But Tinko van der Velde starting to get aggressive, starting to get frustrated in that Audi. He will not be enjoying these cars finding their way past. Van der Velde has gone from the attacker very firmly to the defender, and Maciej Malinowski, a predator in the middle in the McLaren. Sideways McLaren, contact between the two of them. The McLaren loses momentum. Van der Velde gives him a gentle nudge in the rear, and all of a sudden Marco Jonkers is watching this with eyes absolutely wide open, thinking, you boys keep doing this and I am going to find a BMW size gap and throw my car down the inside of it before too long. David, you said it's the best racing you've seen this year. I could not agree more with you, my friend. This is sensational.
Absolutely epic and breathless racing here that we've got. Dennis Schoninger now is going to be sweating profusely as that man Mikhail Statsenko behind him in the 696 Lamborghini, 0.4 of a second. I can guarantee you it's an awful lot closer than that. Maciej Malinowski in third position, Tinko van der Velde in fourth, Marco Jonkers in fifth as well. Gert Fischer still that 2.5 seconds. I'll be honest, he's got the safest seat in the house right now. He is going to avoid all of the explosions that are going to go up here in this top 5 right now. And again, I have to bring it back to the point. The bit that makes it so enjoyable is the fact of the respect and the care that they are taking of each other there. You saw the contact with Malinowski and Tinko van der Velde, and you saw the two of them back off to make sure that that order was maintained and that nobody was getting an unfair advantage. But have a look at Tinko van der Velde going to the outside. It's not going to work here. He knows this. He's learned his lessons. Marco Jonkers tries to take advantage as well. That's left Tinko van der Velde slightly exposed here. My goodness me, how much more can they handle right now? Surely something has got to give right now, and I get the feeling that Malinowski is not going to be able to hold on to this much pressure. Tinko van der Velde, Marco Jonkers, you've got Geert Fischer is still dropping back. I've got no idea how these top 5 are still dropping P6 right now, and they're fighting like this.
Yeah, this is incredible. Marco Jonkers, beautiful shot on board the BMW as this fight is unfolding in front of him, and Jonkers is in the unenviable position of trying to stay out of the way, not get wrapped up in it, and see what kind of opportunities can come his way. But that BMW doesn't quite have the ultimate pace of these 2 cars ahead. We're looking now from Maciej Malinowski's McLaren, the Veloci Esports 992 machine. Look how quick that Audi is in a straight line. Tinko van der Velde decides to send the car down the inside, gets it stopped in time. That is a sensational overtake. Maciej Malinowski had absolutely no answer. Van der Velde, with maximum commitment, makes the move, throws the car back in to 3rd position, and the pursuit of our now breakaway 2 leaders continues. And Marco Jonkers is almost thinking, I don't actually want the points because I'm thoroughly enjoying watching you boys race.
Oh my dearie me, this is just amazing as Bugaraditsky Esports Lerid Makovkin get to drive through penalty. I'm going to almost guarantee that it's been given for track limits here at Paul Ricard. Very, very easy to do. Very surprised that's the only one we've seen so far, but with 6 minutes left to go, nothing is out of the cars. We cut back to the leaders, Dennis Schoeninger and Mikhail Statsenko. Then 0.2 of a second is the gap. You get the feeling Statsenko just waiting for the right opportunity. It's not now. It's maybe going to be in a lap or two's time. Tinko van der Velde getting past Maciej Malinowski there was absolutely huge. It was so important. That 992 McLaren, again, I wonder if maybe just pushing to defend that position has actually dropped a little bit of tyre performance, because he's again under so much pressure right now from Marco Jonkers, 0.3 of a second behind Tinko van der Velde right now. Question is actually, Paul, can Tinko van der Velde get that 2.5 seconds down? I don't think he can in 5.5 minutes here.
No, it's going to be a massive, massive ask for Tinko van der Velde. We'll keep half an eye on the timing screens to see how he rates compared to the drivers ahead. But now it is Mikhail Statsenko and Dennis Schoeninger. Schoeninger has been faultless at the front of the field, not made even a hint of a mistake under massive pressure from multiple drivers. But this is the first time Statsenko is able to have a nibble for the race lead. Can the Lamborghini driver, fresh eyes on the scene, find a way past that McLaren 720S Evo, the red Lamborghini versus the white and blue McLaren? 2 very similar cars, 2 very different cars as well in many respects. Statsenko, ITB Esports, Schoeninger, Williams Esports, head to head, 4 minutes 37 seconds left to see who will come out on front of this duel. And David, remember, not only is this for the win, there is a 6-point differential between 1st and 2nd position, and that could be massively important for this championship when we conclude at the ADAC SimRacing Expo.
Yeah, points make prizes. Look at the run here from the Lamborghini on that McLaren coming down the backstretch here. Is it going to be a move? Oh my goodness me, that looked like a little bit of an aggressive move from both of them there. Again, you just see the mind games going on here. This is just trying to make the McLaren overcook its tyres, overdrive that car and force a mistake. Really, really intelligent driving here from Mikhail Statsenko on the attack here, but even, you know, applaudits to Dennis Schoeninger here on the defensive drive as well. He's not had too much to do through this race here. Yes, he had that fight with Tinko van der Velde and Maciej Malinowski earlier on, but then they all sort of got tripped up over each other here now as well. Mikhail Statsenko has absolutely torn through this with the ITB Esports 696 just now, and I'm just absolutely breathless at how this final 3.5 minutes are going to go. Possibly 2 laps left to go in this race.
Yeah, this is incredible stuff. Edge of your seat stuff. If you're watching on YouTube, do not go anywhere, because we have got this race to decide. And whoever out of the top 5 crosses the line in first place will be a worthy winner. But at this moment, it is a fight of 2. Dennis Schoeninger has led the race right the way from the green flag, absorbed the pressure like a sponge from the drivers behind. And now Mikel Statsenko on the charge through the field in the ITB Lamborghini has the bit between the teeth. Look at his face. He's not blinked once. Doesn't show a sign of any kind of stress, any kind of pressure. He's just in the zone, relying on the muscle memory, building on the experience, the enviable levels of experience that he has. And he's doing everything he can to access his data bank of knowledge to work out the best and most intelligent way to make this move. Defend the inside line, does Dennis Schoeninger. A little bit of a wobble as well, just to try and discourage the Lamborghini from going side by side. Statsenko has the outside line, tries to keep Schoeninger tight as possible to compromise his corner entry, then go for the switchback. That's worked very nice for the Lamborghini. Contact between the two of them. Schoeninger and Statsenko make contact. Schoeninger trying to get the car desperately back onto the racetrack, which he does. That could have been a monumental shunt, but Dennis Schoeninger just about survives that one. Statsenko stays as you were in second position, and Tinko van der Velde is wondering what day of the week it is, because all of a sudden a 2.5 second gap has been erased at the front of the field.
I have a horrible feeling that's going to be a penalty for Statsenko, but the thing is that, again, coming down to the respect, that's exactly it on a platter there. The fact that he immediately tried to redress the situation. I've said before, I'm in two minds about that, because if you're going to get a penalty, you're going to get a penalty anyway. So if you redress that situation and it doesn't count for anything, then why do it? Other than it's good sportsmanship. It's what I like to say. Let's hope that they don't get a penalty. They can settle this out on the track, because my God, what a final lap this is going to be. 3 cars in it for the win of this first race of the championship. You could not ask for a better opening round. This, for me, is not only is it one of the best races of the year, for me, this is one of the best ever sim racing openings to a championship I think I've ever seen here, Paul.
Yeah, I could not agree more with you, David. It's been absolutely sensational. Great to see that Statsenko, as you say, breathe off the throttle, allow Schoeninger to get back on the racetrack and retain the race lead that he had before that incident. A bit aggressive from both drivers, but here we go again. This is round number 7 of this particular manoeuvre. Once again, the Lamborghini has the legs on the straight. Look at the rear view mirror there, the camera on the dashboard of Dennis Schoeninger's car. He can see the bright red machine almost has one. A bit of bump drafting, in fact, between the two of them. Statsenko then decides to go wide. Schoeninger covers the line. Statsenko tries to cut the car back to the inside, and there is Tinko van der Velde. Tinko van der Velde trying to buy into this one now. Not one, but 2 bits of contact between the Audi and the Lamborghini. Van der Velde has the outside line and holds on for second position.
What? Are you kidding me? Tinko van der Velde out of absolutely nowhere steals second place, and I'll be honest with you, you would not put it past them trying to make a move on Dennis Schoeninger here. What a turn up of events here. Tinko van der Velde then into second place. Statsenko is going to be absolutely fizzing at this point in time. Just a couple of laps, a couple of corners left to go, and look at Tinko van der Velde. He's already onto the back of Schoeninger here, but it's going to be across the line. What a finish, Paul, and it's going to be a race win for Dennis Schoeninger.
Absolutely sensational stuff from the front of our field all the way down the running order of this opening round at the ADAC Professional Trophy. Dennis Schoeninger soaked up the pressure like an absolute pro, while all hell broke loose behind him. Tinko van der Velde sneaking in at the death to get that second position. Mikel Statsenko gave everything he's got and more, and rounds out the podium as the first of our Lamborghini drivers. Maciej Malinowski, Marco Jonkers separated by nothing more than a few metres on the racetrack in 4th and 5th position as well. And then Gert Fischer in 6th will probably be the most disappointed man on the racetrack, because he was not quite quick enough to get involved in that battle. He could see the fun being had, David, but couldn't join it, and that's infuriating as a driver. But my, oh my, that was a ding-dong race.
Wow, I just don't even have the words for it. I'm honestly speechless. That was amazing, amazing stuff. It had everything that we wanted to see. Thrills, spills, chills, incidents, amazingly fast, tight racing. And, well, yeah, that's just awesome, awesome stuff there.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. We've seen a replay here at the start. That was the start where Dennis Schoeninger converted from all that pressure his race lead, pole position into a race lead. Contact further down the running order of the 72 Ferrari. Several hits from drivers further down. Mikhail Statsenko had a day of charging through the pack. The Lamborghini dispatching of car number 2 very quickly indeed, making a good move. We just saw it brought up on the screen, by the way, that the incident with Dennis Schoeninger towards the end of the race, a warning from the stewards has been applied. So it's good to see that Statsenko will retain his 3rd position for now, at the very, very least. The AMG Mercedes, sole Mercedes in the field, was under plenty of strife over the course of the race. Here it's been overtaken by the McLaren, just about avoiding contact and retaining that position. The 137 will have another nibble at that silver car further down the road. Unfortunately for the Mercedes, they would retire early from this race. And that's actually a question, David, that's well worth saying. Very few retirements in the running order, so it's good to see that everybody behaved themselves, made it to the checkered flag. But this is where it's at, isn't it? This racing amongst these 4 drivers was just out of this world.
Honestly, I've never really been speechless at the end of the race. I'm honestly struggling to come to terms with what we just witnessed here. I think it's because the action was so aggressive, it was so intensive, and I don't mean that in the way of that we normally say aggressive, where we'll just ignore this one, where drivers are knocking lumps out of each other. But that top 5, I mean, they were just, it was 3,000, 3,000 IQ thinking. You could watch and see in real time what they were thinking, what they were planning, and what they were trying to do here. And I'm desperately trying to glaze over that moment of madness from Simonietta there. But again, it was like you could see what they were planning to do, what they had intended to do. And the thing is that the driver behind and the driver in front, Paul, every single time they had an answer, they had a reply, they had a plan B for how they were going to respond to it. Amazing, amazing stuff.
Yep, controlled aggression, intelligent racecraft were the order of the day for the vast majority of the field. We saw a lot of racing here in Asinia and then into Bussafe straight afterwards. A lot of bravery from these drivers, but as you say, David, giving each other, more often than not, the racing room in order to complete the move. The 137 found itself more than its fair share of dramas. And then again, the front of the field, Tinko van der Velde under massive pressure there from the McLaren, side by side on the fastest part of the racetrack. Mikhail Statsenko almost 4 wide at this stage of the race. Statsenko would be in 4th position for long periods of this race, but that would not stay the same as we came in to the dying moments. Van der Velde once again with Maciej Malinowski. Van der Velde in the green and blue Audi. Did he survive this particular incident? Yes, he did. Did he get some dramas later on? Yep, but that was no problem for Tinko van der Velde. He came second at the flag. Malinowski, opportunistic as always in the Lamborghini, finds a way through as they continue to squabble. And David, that was a bit of an unfortunate incident that we saw that put the Mercedes into retirement.
Yeah, it was, and as I said, I mean that Lamborghini that was involved in it did kind of just have his nose straight. They did absolutely nothing wrong in my mind in that one. Then coming out the final corner again, this was the last lap here. An amazing performance from Tinko van der Velde to send it around the outside of the corner, fighting with that 3rd place car there. Honestly, I cannot believe how well it did to get that position. And for me, I mean, I think Tinko van der Velde needs to find himself a striped suit and a mask, because he has definitely got a career waiting for him as a thief to steal that back on the last lap of the race. I've never seen anything like that where we thought, it's going to go one way. We thought, honestly, that the 696 of Mikhail Statsenko was going to fight for the lead, and then to get absolutely mugged and sent down out the 3rd. It was just awesome. Yeah, absolutely brilliant stuff. This is Statsenko trying so desperately to find a way past contact with the back of the McLaren. There you see, though, Statsenko breathe off the throttle, just let that McLaren back on the racetrack again. And the reason that Tinko van der Velde had the audacity and bravery, David, to make that move on the last lap is just the respect amongst these drivers. And speaking of respect, my biggest respect goes to the man that's just joined us in the commentary booth. Dennis, what a victory. Congratulations, man. That must have been incredibly high pressure for you.
I mean, yeah, it was probably the most exhausting 45 minutes I ever had. And then defending in the end all the time. Yeah, it was intense.
I mean, we saw many drivers challenge you, and we never saw you make a mistake. How hard was it to soak up that pressure and keep the pace up as well, despite many different people trying to snap away at your heels?
Yeah, I mean, you have the constant pressure from behind, so you have to like keep the focus to not do exactly the mistakes. So my full focus was just driving, and when I knew someone was in range of attacking, I was just like defend whatever you can, because I knew I had like a slight straight line advantage against the Audi, but not against the Lambo. So I had to play more like apex lower defense game to cover the Lambo. So that's another game as well, to change defensive strategies between the cars you have behind.
Now, this might seem like a stupid question, but did you enjoy that one, or was it a more stressful, difficult experience? Well, because as a broadcaster, David Christie and I have both said that's probably the best race we've seen, certainly this year, if not ever. But how enjoyable was it for you in the heat of the moment?
In the heat of the moment, it's when you're defending, it's kind of fun, but also really intense. The more the more tiring places when you're in a straight line. You got time to relax, and you look at the clock on the top to see, still 17 minutes. But once you're in the game again through the corners, it's fine.
Well, Dennis, trust me, do yourself a favour. When you've got a moment, watch the broadcast back, because that was a fantastic race. And from your point of view, speed, racecraft, soaked up the pressure, made no mistakes. Congratulations, that was a genuinely incredible victory. Well done, man. Really, really well done.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. There you go. So Williams Esports, Dennis Schoninger, race victor, David Christie. And yeah, like I said to him then, that was a masterclass from defensive driving, and curious to hear what he had to say about slow on apex, different defensive tactics based on different cars that are attacking him.
Yeah, and of course that's a really important point, is the fact now that's a Williams Esports 1-2. Granted, they're in different mini teams, Chill Blast taking P1 and Williams Esports Razor taking P2 with Tinko van der Velde. So that, again, strong start for them. So many questions I think have come out of tonight ahead of the season, the remaining rounds of this championship. It's not anywhere near as one-sided as I thought it was going to be. There's nobody that comes out of tonight, Paul, that you go, oh my god, yeah, they're going to be the favourites for the championship. I have absolutely no idea. Any one of those drivers in the top 10, you'd get your drop rounds in there as well. It's still absolutely all to play for.
Yep, and Dennis, of course, is going to be carrying another 15 kilograms of weight around with him when we go to Monza, which is not a track you particularly want to be carrying weight. And that's a good point, David. The 26th of September, we're back in action again at the Monza Grand Prix circuit for these boys in the ADAC Professional Trophy. An entirely different track could deliver an entirely different result, couldn't it?
It really could, and the thing to remember, as you briefly touched on there, is that CEST Ballast P1 getting 15 kilograms, P2 getting 10 kilograms, and P3 getting 5. It's not a track, as you said, it's a track all about speed, and extra weight, that's not going to really help you very, very much, which is fabulous for us because it pushes them even tighter together. So yeah, it's going to be very, very special indeed. Everything, all the signs that we've had tonight, Paul, shape up that this is going to be an incredible season to come.
Yeah, well, I'm sure everybody at home would probably have noticed that David Christie and I really quite enjoyed that one. So I'm looking forward to doing it again on the 26th of September. But it is time, sadly, to say goodbye to you all for tonight. So a massive thank you to ADAC, to SimGrid, to Asher Racing, to all the drivers that have been on track, everybody behind the scenes, from race direction, broadcast direction, and our stewards and organisers. Big thank you to this man, David Christie, the legend that is alongside me. And to everybody watching at home, thank you so much. Tune it into your diary. September the 26th, we go to Monza. But before then, have a lovely rest of your day, a lovely rest of the month, and we'll see you on the 26th of September. Bye-bye.